I spy with my little eye Donald J. Trump. Hello there, you 5 million wonders. Glory be unto thee. Let us walk this path together of awakening beyond labels, beyond condemnation, beyond the old systems and lies. New truths will be born. You know, like Donald Trump, have you ever seen him go, I was being spied on, I was being spied on?
They spied on my campaign.
And everyone said, you ain't being spied on, you're paranoid, there's no one spying on you. I can feel it now, I'm getting spied right on now, I'm being spied on. I'm the #1 most spied on person in the world. No one's more spied on than Donald J. Trump. Well, turns out he was being spied on. Last time we talked about Trump, and Trump in particular in relation to the Clinton campaign, the Russiagate stuff, and the evidence that there were members of the Clinton team involved in creating the allegations around Russiagate. We got some serious blowback. Russell Brand's right wing. I don't believe in any of it. I don't think you're going to get any solutions from existing political systems. That's just to clarify. I also believe people should be able to identify however they want to identify, that we should all try to work together, that ordinary people should have the power to govern their own lives. I've done that video and why I'm not right wing. You can watch that again later if you want to. But I know that by saying stuff like this, people go, you're not allowed to say that. So do you like Donald Trump then? Is that what it is? I'm just saying, if you don't want people calling you liars, stop lying. Also, I've got the additional problem of thinking about this hat the whole time. All right, so let's have a look at this story now. This is out of the Wall Street Journal. Special counsel John Durham continues to unravel the Trump-Russia collusion story, and his latest court disclosure contains startling information. According to a Friday court filing, the 2016 Hillary Clinton campaign effort to compile dirt on Donald Trump reached into protected White House communications. The filing relates to Mr. Durham's September indictment of Michael Sussman, a lawyer who represented the Clinton campaign while he worked for the Perkins Coie law firm. Mr. Sussman is accused of lying to the FBI at a September 2016 meeting when he presented documents claiming to show secret internet communications between the Trump organization and Russia-based Alpha Bank. So we did a video about this a couple of months ago, caused me all sorts of aggravation. We'll link to it at the end if you want to watch it again. But basically what it boils down to is someone said they had no links to the Clinton campaign. You can trust me, I'm just an honest bystander. Honest Sussman I'm known as. You don't want to trust like Trump. Do you work for Hillary Clinton? No, I've never met her. Hillary who? Clinton. Hillary Clinton. What's that, Clinton? I've heard that name before somewhere. Hillary Clinton, do you work for? Oh, yeah, no, yeah, actually, if I remember now, yeah, I do, I work for her. In fact, told me to come. Oh, shit, I've said too much. Oh. The indictment says Mr. Sussman falsely told the FBI he was presenting the information solely as a good citizen. Hi, I'm just a good citizen. You might want to watch out for that Donald Trump. He's a bit of a bad egg, in my opinion. Do you work for Hillary Clinton? Oh. Failing to disclose his ties to the Clinton campaign. The indictment revealed that Mr. Sussman worked with Tech Executive One, who has been identified as Rodney Joff, formerly of New Star Inc. The indictment says Mr. Joff used his companies as well as researchers at a US university to access internet data, which he used to gather information about Mr. Trump's communications. Mr. Durham said Mr. Joff's goal was to create an inference and narrative about Mr. Trump that would please certain VIPs, referring to individuals at Perkins Coie and the Clinton campaign. It now seems increasingly likely that the entire Russiagate scandal was a media concoction in collaboration with the Clinton campaign and other government agencies. Do you remember how long that went on for? How much airtime, how many jokes they did, how casually it was accepted as truth. This is also taking place at a time where misinformation is being equated and conflated with terrorism, where podcast hosts are being held to a standard that seems to me about controlling the type of information that's accessible rather than the standards by which information is delivered. If what we're interested in is a set of standards that are universally applicable, then this whole farrago is ridiculous and needs to be accounted for and apologized for, and there's a lot of people that are pointing fingers that should be getting their own house in order. The new shocker relates to the data Mr. Joff and friends were mining. According to Friday's filing, as early as July 2016, Mr. Joff was exploiting his access to non-public and/or proprietary internet data, including internet traffic pertaining to the Executive Office of the President of the United States. That seems like pretty intimate access. How did they get that access? The filing explains that Mr. Joff's employer had come to access and maintain dedicated servers for the EOP as part of a sensitive arrangement whereby it provided internet services to the White House. Mr. Joff's team also was monitoring internet traffic related to Trump Tower and Mr. Trump's apartment on Central Park West. That's spying, isn't it? They're monitoring. We were not spying. We were merely monitoring some things. Were you being really quiet? Yeah. Were you wearing like a Zorro mask? Yeah. Was you wearing like a little black hat like this one? Bit like it, not with that crow on it though. That's spying! You're describing spying! White House communications are supposed to be secure, and the notion that any contractor, much less one with ties to a presidential campaign, could access them is alarming enough. The implication that the data was exploited for a political purpose is a scandal that requires investigation under oath. I don't care about an oath. Did you do any spying? I didn't do none, no. And you wouldn't break your oath? Sorry, what's an oath? The filing suggests that the data collected continued into the Trump presidency. Mr. Durham says that on the 9th of February 2017, Mr. Sussman met with a second federal agency, Agency 2, to provide an updated set of allegations. Got a new set of allegations for you. I'm a concerned citizen. Do you still work for Hillary Clinton? Hillary what, Sue? And that these allegations relied in part on the purported internet traffic that Mr. Joff and others had assembled pertaining to Trump Tower, Donald Trump's New York City apartment building. Trump, it's not somebody you have to spy on. He's got his name written on his fucking house. Where could he be? The filing says the new allegations Mr. Sussman provided, claiming suspicious ties between a Russian mobile phone operator and the White House, were also bogus, and that Mr. Sussman again made a false claim that he wasn't working on behalf of a client. And by the way, you should know, Sussman don't work for no woman, I mean man or woman. The disclosures raise troubling questions far beyond the Sussman indictment. How long did this snooping last? And who had access to what was found? Who approved the access to the White House data? And who at the FBI and the White House knew about it? Were Mrs. Clinton and senior campaign aides personally aware of this data trolling operation? You'd have to really like Hillary Clinton a lot to not think that this is a bit shady. Maybe spying is no big deal when seen in the context of the regular influx of money that enters politics through corporate means, lobbying, sponsorship, regulating industries that you have stocks and shares in. But if it doesn't appall you, then how can you also have enthusiasm for the minor distinctions between the two different political parties? Either you're apathetic and don't care about this stuff, or you're not. But you can't be dismissive of like the spying, the lobbying, the regulating of big tech companies, and then be like, woohoo, Joe Biden, because it's just the whole thing's a farce. If this is true and there is spying on presidential candidates, forget which side you're on for a moment. Isn't that like wrong? And don't you remember Watergate? Wasn't that meant to be a really sort of serious and important thing that defined an era and to a degree ended the fundamental trust that people have in politicians? And wasn't it more or less this spying, stealing information, but just using old analog techniques of sneaking around in people's hotels like a cat burglar nitwit? And now this sort of thing just passes as normal, as ordinary, barely worthy of comment, has to be dug out. You have to sort of force yourself to care because you've been so bombarded now with cynicism and skepticism and apathy and inertia of just, oh, of course they are. Of course they are. Is there anyone in this world other than maybe Chelsea Clinton that thinks that Hillary Clinton is a legitimate political figure who's conducting political life with morals? You just look at that Clinton Foundation, look at the time in office. So I'm not saying let's all love on Donald Trump, but I'm saying let's open our eyes real wide to the reality of contemporary political life, and even your apathy and inertia is an indication of how little faith and investment you have in these processes. Mr. Durham's revelations take the 2016 collusion scam well beyond the Steele dossier, which was based on the unvetted claims of a Russian emigre working in Washington. Those claims and the Sussman assertions were channeled to the highest levels of the government via contacts at the FBI, CIA and State Department. They became fodder for secret and unjustified warrants against a former Trump campaign official, and later for Robert Mueller's 2-year mole hunt that turned up no evidence of collusion. I don't know how people can get so whipped up about either side of the political debate when clearly both sides are engaging in nefarious activity and espionage, and it's just accepted as a normal part of political life. To me, this is not about a personal lack of trust in Hillary Clinton or the evident dislike that many people feel for Hillary Clinton. This is more about a total lack of trust in all of these institutions and agencies, and a legitimate reason to feel cynical and skeptical about politics. For me, this is not interesting because it's like, what? Politicians aren't reliable? This is just simply, see? What are you all so excited about? Along the way, the Clinton campaign fed these bogus claims to a willing and gullible media, and now we know its operatives used private tech researchers to monitor White House communications. If you made this up, you'd be laughed out of a Netflix story pitch. And I know what that's like. Mr. Durham's legal filing is related to certain conflicts of interest in Mr. Sussman's legal team, and it remains unclear where else his probe is going. But the unfolding information underscores that the Russia collusion story was one of the dirtiest tricks in US political history. Mr. Durham should tell the whole sordid story. How are we meant to conjure up respect for these institutions, for this process? How are we supposed to contain our apathy, our lethargy, our lack of interest when every single institution involved, whether it's media, government agencies, or the Clinton campaign, cooperated in essentially a childish scam where one bloke, Sussman, made up some prattle lies based on nothing? You remember the ongoing ubiquitous hysteria around Donald Trump, this guy, he's a joke, he's crazy, all this stuff, right? And meanwhile, this was also true. My personal belief is that you can think whatever you want to think about Donald Trump. Again, I'm not like ringing the bell or waving a banner on behalf of the Republican Party or Donald Trump. I'm simply saying that in order to criticize and condemn a lack of moral integrity in a particular group or set of people, you literally have to be coming from a place of integrity yourself. Otherwise, you don't have anything. All during that time, they were spying, they were making up lies, they were saying stuff that wasn't true. With all that piety and like, Donald Trump, he's bad for America. He's bad for America. Don't worry about that. Stop spying. Start acting legit. Start giving people something to vote for. Start caring about ordinary people. Dial down your contempt for ordinary Americans. Open up your hearts, open up your minds, and start representing in a way that's worthy of the population of America. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you been thinking about the hat a lot? I've been thinking about the hat a hell of a lot. Basically, I've been a man talking about politics, thinking about a hat. Let me know in the comments below if you want one. We sell merch now. It all goes to good causes. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at the one that caused aggro last time, or have a look at this little guy as well. Watch whatever you want to watch. And if you get the opportunity to see me in the UK, I'm in Plymouth, Bristol, Glasgow. I'm all over the country in April and May. There's a link in the description for your tickets. Sign up to my mailing list if you want to, so we can stay in touch. Stay free.